look out around Georgian Bay and maybe we're walking the escarpment and you're seeing those trickles and those little ripples of water that are flowing from their source. It's telling you the journey of the water. Talking here today, the water's answering our call and coming in. She's sending messages inside of the waves that come, when they slow and when they rise. The sun, the wind, the trees, it's all a message. And it's time that we wake up and we listen to the journey of the water and the journey of the land. The Blue Mountains' present-day landscape is a testament to the powerful and persistent influence of water, sculpted over millennia by glacial activity and subsequent geological processes. The region's waterways, from the majestic Georgian Bay to the trickling streams that carve through the Niagara Escarpment, tell a story of dynamic change, ecological significance, and human interaction, including the deep connection of early Indigenous peoples to the land and the water. Approximately 15,000 years ago, the last ice sheet completely engulfed southern Ontario, including the Niagara Escarpment. The post-glacial period saw the formation of the Great Lakes, massive reservoirs of fresh water that owe their existence to the melting ice. The melting glaciers generated immense volumes of meltwater, which carved out drainage channels across the newly exposed land. These channels became the precursors to the rivers and the streams that define the region's watersheds today. Long before European settlers arrived, the region was home to Indigenous peoples who possessed a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all living things. Their relationship with the land and the water, one of profound respect and balance. They understood the rhythms of the seasons, the cycles of life, and the importance of preserving the delicate balance of the ecosystem. This intimate knowledge of the environment allowed them to thrive in the region for centuries. Water is the lifeblood of the Blue Mountains community, intricately woven into the fabric of its ecosystem, economy, and the well-being of its residents. It's not simply a resource. It's the foundation upon which the region thrives. The crystal clear streams, the majestic Georgian Bay, and the hidden wetlands all play vital roles supporting a rich tapestry of life. These aquatic ecosystems provide essential habitats for a stunning array of flora and fauna, from the vibrant wildflowers that line the riverbanks to the diverse fish populations that swim in the depths of Georgian Bay. Perhaps most importantly, water is fundamental to the overall well-being of the community. Access to safe and clean drinking water is a basic human right. Beyond these practical necessities, the aesthetic value of the water features enhance the quality of life for residents, providing space for recreation, relaxation, and connection with nature. My name is Heather, and my Indigenous spirit name is Boshkikwem, and that means she creates thunder. In my journey of reconnection, I've realized that it's so fitting that I come to the water because as an Anishinaabe woman, I'm a water carrier, I'm a water protector. The water is telling me a story as we're talking. I sang a song to the water when we started to let them know that as we're getting ready to prepare for our winter sleep that's coming upon us, that I and many others will be watching over her and singing for her and praying for her and protecting her. the best that we can.
My name is Brad Mulligan, and I'm the head of projects for BRWI. So we've been working effectively on the river since about, or the watershed as a whole, since 2015. So the Beaver River Watershed Initiative was formed in 2013, basically by a group of gentlemen around a kitchen table who bantered around the idea of doing positive work on the watershed of the Beaver Valley. So this is one of these projects that's kind of interesting. The Little Beaver River was basically considered to be a drainage ditch. And it had been abused, it wasn't really looked at with a very high priority by people. But a number of the people that live on it approached us and said, is there anything we can do? What can we do with this? And it's a whole system. So we're not just talking a section here and a section there. And then from that point on, we realized that what was really necessary in this system was to reconnect it to Georgian Bay. So back in the 1800s, probably somewhere around 1870, the rail system had come in and they built a impediment to, the river flowing freely with a rail trestle. So at that point in time, we decided that we could do two things. We could either knock it down, the structure, the concrete structure, which would involve a lot of engineering, a lot of work, and a lot of expense, or we could use a new product called the fish culvert, which was designed by David Penny in conjunction with some people out in Newfoundland. We got the green light to put it in from the MNR, the town of Blue Mountains, and we installed that 2 years ago, and it's been a huge success.
I'm Carl Michener. I'm president with the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust. We have been around since 1994, and our mission is to protect and enhance the wildlife corridors, watercourses, and wetlands in our area. Everything that makes this place special. The Beaver River that runs through Clarksburg and Thornbury is probably the area's best known trout and salmon stream. But a smaller one that's probably in better health as far as salmon and trout goes is called Silver Creek, which is this creek right here. It doesn't look very big, but when it rains, it swells immensely. And it's a very interesting watercourse. It starts in the Silver Creek wetland in a bit of a delta through the reeds and the forest, and it consolidates into one watercourse that goes through the plain of Collingwood and up into the Blue Mountains area. And the salmon that climb up to spawn go pretty much halfway up the escarpment, some of them, to lay their eggs. We're talking a height of over 150-meter vertical climb from the bay to the spawning grounds. It's pretty impressive.
When we think about the journey of the water, our creation stories as Indigenous peoples speak to the relationship that we have with water and how it has always been our protector. It was one of the first vessels that we became life in, and that goes for all of us. We live inside of our mothers, inside of the womb of our mothers, inside of the water. So the water that's flowing all around us is telling us that story. It's reminding us. The moon, the stars, and the sun is reminding us of those initial instructions. So it's all part of the journey of life. And much too often we get so caught up in the busyness of this life that we've created that has honestly made us disconnected to the essential things around us, that we don't stop, we don't listen, and we don't watch, and we don't protect her. And Knee Bay needs our protection.
This watershed system is really the canary in the coal mine for this whole valley, Blue Mountains. Each one of these systems is really telling you what's going on upstream and downstream. So if this starts to fail, then everything around it fails. If you lose this, you lose everything.
The Silver Creek wetland, first and foremost, is a wetland which absorbs water and storm runoff. So if you take away a wetland, then you basically have no way for the water to get absorbed before it hits a body of water like Georgian Bay. So you have a giant plume of sediment that'll go out. It's an extremely biodiverse and very rich area. And a lot of the deer, for example, that migrate up to the escarpment and back down to the wetland every day, dawn and dusk, if the wetland was to disappear, they would not have a place to be. There would be fish that could not spawn in that wetland. You would just lose a lot of the biodiversity that we have right now.
And of course, the average person just assumes that this is taken care of. I pay my taxes, why wouldn't this be taken care of? And now with a lot of the pressures that are coming on for hyperdevelopment, private individuals have to take control of the situation and have to ask the tough questions of government officials on all levels and have to challenge what's happening, because it's not getting better at this point in time. And even though we make these amazing wins, you're really pushing a rock uphill. So I have a lot of hope, but I think we need to have more engagement with people understanding that no one is really looking after this whole, farm of life. The barn door has been left open, so to speak. And, we really got to come back around and start taking care of things and being accountable for what we've done and are doing.
We're made up of water. If we don't drink water, then we don't have life. If we don't protect the water and have the water here, we don't have life. This water has been around since the beginning. Whether it's my creation stories or your stories of creation, this land was built upon with instructions that were very specific and had needs that need to be made. And then everything that came thereafter was put on this earth to protect, to walk with, to guide, and to guard. That's been the journey. This is still the journey.
The point of coming up here is for the natural benefits, the bay, the escarpment, and the nature, right? The forests, the creeks, the wetlands, the streams, places where people like to play. And it's got the height of the escarpment and the beauty of the bay. What if this was to turn into Scarborough, where you look down from the brow of the escarpment and all you see is houses, there's no wetland, shoreland's been built up and whatnot. What's the point? You've lost what you've loved it to death, essentially.
Once again, if we look at this river right now, there's a huge amount of turbidity in it from the extreme weather we've had. And a lot of this runoff, which is not good, because it's huge amounts of sediment is flowing down this river right now, would come from improper land use, perhaps from agricultural runoff as well. So working with farmers, working with agricultural organizations, absolutely, we'd love to do more of that.
At the same time as we're looking at more and more development than we've ever seen, and the paving over of some of our precious wild spaces, we're seeing more organizations come up and confront that challenge.
We have to wake up to the journey that's happening. And we have to wake up to the journey that this water is telling us. And it's our responsibility to do that. Not only as Anishinaabe people or Indigenous people, but as people here on this earth. So I ask you to please think about the importance that water brings to you Whatever that journey is, this is the first mother that we need to be responsible for. And if we keep pushing and pushing and pushing, we will harm her. And in essence, we're harming ourselves. Water has been the primary architect of the Blue Mountains landscape, shaping not only the physical environment, but also influencing the human story of the region. From the massive ice sheets of the last glacial period to the modern rivers and the vast expanse of Georgian Bay, and the enduring connection of Indigenous peoples to these waters, water's influence is evident. Understanding this complex history is essential for appreciating the region's natural beauty and ensuring the sustainable management of its precious water resources for future generations.